Throughout these lessons, we're going to cut together a short minute-and-a-half promo piece for a documentary called Running the Sahara, about 3 runners who ran over 4,000 miles across North Africa. The first thing we need to do is add an establishing shot. The first shot that we're going to use is Niger Camels. Simply left-click on it on the icon and drag it from the browser and drop it directly into the viewer. Now, as you can see in our viewer, there's lots of buttons, and these buttons reflect what you would see on a simple VCR. Play, rewind, fast forward, lots of sliders. Well, these are fine for the average viewer, but if you really wanted to edit smart and fast, you need to use keyboard shortcuts. So the first thing we're going to do is learn how to use keyboard shortcuts to navigate through this clip. So what I want you to do is I want you to take your right hand and take the thumb of your right hand and simply place it over the space bar and tap the space bar. Tap it once and it plays, tap it a second time and it stops. Now while we're playing, I want you to take a look at a couple specific areas of our viewer. Specifically in the upper right hand corner, you see there's 4 sets of numbers. This represents time code. It's the hours, the minutes, the seconds, and the frames that were assigned to this clip the moment it was recorded. When clips are recorded using broadcast equipment, and this includes DV and HDV, information is encoded into the metadata that allows you to find a specific frame by knowing its timecode. And this timecode doesn't change when you bring it in from your camera or deck into Final Cut Pro. Now on the left side of the viewer is another set of numbers. This is the duration of your clip. And in this case, there are no hours to deal with, no minutes to deal with. It's just 11 seconds long and 14 frames. And you're going to see this number change as we mark a new in point and cut off the head, and mark a new out point and cut off the tail of these camels. Now we're not going to literally cut off the heads and the tails of the camels, but just the heads and the tail of the shot. One last thing that I want to show you is this item here below the camels, or below the video of the camels, and this is called the scrubber bar. And you'll notice there's an object here, a yellow triangle with a line through it, and that's called the playhead. As I move the playhead left and right in the scrubber bar, I can actually go forwards and backwards in time. Also note as I do this that my time code in the upper right hand corner is changing. Now let's return to our keyboard shortcuts. We've used our thumb to start and stop playback with the space bar, but one thing you'll notice is that if you've used your right hand, your 3 middle fingers naturally fall on the J, K, and L keys. And if you press the J key, you'll be able to play the clip in reverse. If you press the L key, you'll be able to play the clip forward. Think of the K as a modifier key. Not only does it pause playback when you click on it, but if you hold it down before you press L or J, you can play forward in slow motion by hitting J and K simultaneously. And if you press down the K and the J key simultaneously, you'll play in reverse in slow motion. You can also hold down the K key and tap the L key, and this will move you forward a frame at a time. Holding down the K key and tapping the J key will move you backwards a frame at a time. And this allows you to be extremely precise in selecting where you want your shots to start and where you want your shots to end. In addition to being able to play things back slowly or step through them, you can also fast forward and fast rewind through your clips. And this is as simple as multiple taps to the L key to fast forward and multiple taps of the J key to fast rewind. As a matter of fact, you can tap the L key or the J key up to 6 times, and each time it's going to play back successively faster. Lucky for us, when they were developing the QWERTY keyboard, they knew we were going to be video editing a mere 110 years in the future. So they put the I and the O key directly above J, K, and L on the keyboard. And what does the I and O stand for? I allows you to mark where you want your clip to begin, or the in point, and O allows you to mark where you want your clip to end, or the out point. So there you have I for in, O for out. I'm going to navigate through the clip, pick a point where I want to start my clip. I'm going to pause it by clicking on the space bar, and now I'll press the I key. You'll notice a couple of things have happened in the viewer. First of all, there's a blue line and a little triangle pointing to the right that indicates our in point. In the upper left-hand side of the window, you'll note that the duration has changed. Before, it was 11 seconds, and now it's down to 8, because we've trimmed off 3 seconds at the head of the shot. I'm going to go ahead and hit the space bar to let this play forwards a little bit. And instead of stopping it, I'm going to hit the O key while it's playing. So you can mark in and out on the fly. You don't have to necessarily stop playback to mark an in point and an out point. Now going back to our duration window in the upper left-hand corner of our viewer, you'll see that before, where we were at 8 seconds, the duration of our clip is now 4 seconds long. Now suppose this is not exactly where you want your in points and out points to be. Changing in points and out points in Final Cut Pro is extremely easy. All I have to do is cue up the playhead, and I can do that with JKL, or simply grab my playhead and position it where I want the out point to be. And I simply press the O key again, and the out point will be repositioned to the location of the playhead. I can do the same thing by positioning my playhead before my current in point and pressing the I key. Now what if you want to remove the in and out points? Well, there's a couple of ways you can do this. There's a keyboard shortcut to remove the in and out points. We know I makes an in point and O makes an out point. Well, the modifier key of Option helps you remove them. So Option I will remove the in point, and Option O will remove the out point. I'm going to go ahead and undo that. So I can Command Z twice, and now we have our in points and out points back into our timeline. Another way I can remove these is by right-clicking. Now, a lot of times when I'm editing, I'm not sure exactly how to do what I need to do. I know where it is, but I don't know if I can do something or what I can do. So I often will right-click or control-click in the general area of what I'm working on, and I'll get a pull-down menu that often provides me the solution I'm looking for. In this case, I have the option to clear my in and out, clear my in, or clear my out. And by simply selecting Clear Out, I can remove the out point from the timeline. Now there is a keyboard shortcut to clear the in and out simultaneously. I'm going to quickly hit the O key so we have both an in and out point in our timeline, and remove it with one keyboard shortcut. And once again, we're using the Option key as a modifier, but in this case, it's Option X. So now we're ready to, once again, mark an in and an out and pick precisely the part of the clip that we want to put into our timeline. So revisiting the controls that we learned earlier, I will hit the J key to rewind back to where I like the camels. I think the camel's working really good right here. I like the way he's walking. I'm going to mark an in point. I'm going to now hit the play button, get the feel that camel leaves frame, marks an out point. So I now have an in point and an out point and a clip of 4 seconds and 22 frames. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab the clip from the viewer and we're going to drag it over into the canvas. When you drag a clip from the viewer into the canvas, you'll see a multicolor pop-up. Ignore those for now. We're going to simply drop the clip into the black area to the left side of our canvas. This creates an overwrite edit and puts it into the timeline. Notice that the clip is at the beginning of the timeline on track 1. We'll explore this in more detail with our next clip. But for now, sit back and congratulate yourself on your very first Final Cut Pro edit.